Today I'll be playing the role of an HR director, and I've been tasked with trying to understand why my most important people are leaving. I've got some strong, talented members, and I want to understand what elements about their jobs might trigger a cause for concern. I have a lot of data to sift through here that I can see as a Cognos report output, which contains information about my past and present employees that I can use to help understand the drivers of attrition. Ultimately, I want to retain my top people, so I'm going to leverage the cognitive computing and predictive analytics capabilities of Watson Analytics to help me make sense of my data. As I land on the welcome page, I can see the various capabilities offered by Watson Analytics. I can explore my data, which means that I can see what's happening in my organization today. I can predict, which should tell me why I'm seeing what I'm seeing in my organization today. And I can assemble or tell a story. The first thing that I'll want to do is import my dataset, which I can do by clicking Add. Then I'll connect to data, at which point I could choose from a number of different sources here, but I know that my dataset is stored in my Enterprise BI Cognos environment, so I'm going to choose that as my data source. This brings up the public folders navigation pane that I can easily navigate through to locate the source of my report. After locating the appropriate data container, the query will execute and the results will be drawn into Watson Analytics and ingested. That's it, my data source has been added. Let's start by trying to understand what's happening in the organization today by exploring my data. Since Watson Analytics has ingested the data, it reviews the underlying relationships and provides me with a number of starting points if I'm not sure exactly where I want to start. In other words, it surfaces the most interesting things that I should be aware of. However, in terms of a starting point, I think that if you asked any person with a job, the things they might consider the most important are time and money. So let's start there by making use of the plain language processing by asking the question, what is the relationship between distance from home and attrition? Watson Analytics will automatically create visualizations in an attempt to answer my question. I'm going to select one of the recommended insights in the form of a tree map. Here you can see two large boxes, one for those who have already left in green, and no for my current members in blue, each sized relative to commute. People who've left had to commute about 10.63 miles, and my remaining members have a commute distance of about 8.92 miles. I'm not sure that the difference of 1.7 miles would justify leaving, but I suppose that traffic might depend on which city they live in. Maybe 1.7 miles is significant. But let's add another variable to the exploration by looking at job role. The visualization updates automatically, and I can now see that the healthcare rep seems to have a higher proportion of attrition than other job roles, and they also have a much longer commute time as well. So this is something that I want to pin to save for later. So now we've talked about the commute, which represents time. So let's take a look at the bottom line by examining the relationship between monthly income and attrition. Here we can immediately see that those members who are leaving are also not being compensated as much as those who stay. So it looks like there's a disparity between members with a doctorate who leave are being paid much less than those who stay. And in fact, those who choose to leave only have a slightly larger marginal salary compared to those with a master's degree. So I can pin this visualization as well to review for later. So I've learned a few things along the way, and now I can make use of the guided data discovery capabilities of Watson Analytics, and I can see the related insights ribbon along the top. So here I can see that the tool is suggesting that I review the breakdown of how monthly income varies by age. But we're analyzing attrition, so let's color the visualization by attrition. Now I can see that we have some people who are 45 and who left when they make more, and there's a large disparity in pay for people who are 50 years of age. I wonder if there's an underlying relationship to examine here. I'll pin this for later as well. So far, we've looked at how distance from home, monthly income, education, and age all relate to attrition. So now let's try to understand the why. So we're going to make a very quick predictive model to help us understand these underlying relationships. And again, we're trying to analyze attrition today, so we're going to use that as our predictive target. But we could select any column in the dataset. Now as I click Create, Watson Analytics will again be looking to analyze the underlying relationships in the data, and will surface those patterns and display the results in this spiral diagram, with my predictive target of attrition in the bullseye. In its most simplest form, the single field predictor, I learned that overtime is actually a leading driver of attrition, with a strength of 83.9%. But we know that people aren't just leaving because they work overtime, so we can add a second field to see what the top two fields are on attrition. In this case, it looks like that the top two fields are overtime and monthly income. And we had already looked at the monthly income field and learned that there was likely a relationship, which goes back to our assumption about the importance of time and money. But let's see how multiple fields relate together to predict attrition. We can drill into the related insight, which takes the form of a decision tree. So I have the option of manually navigating the tree to see which fields influence attrition. But this is also summarized nicely on the Rules tab. So here I can quickly see that 67% of our members who are leaving are doing so because they work overtime, they are a relatively high job level, and they don't have benefits, which is perhaps something I hadn't thought of. I'll pin this visualization as well. And I can also see the visualization as a word cloud, which I'll also pin. Finally, I'll use the assemble feature to compile all of these pinned insights into an infograph to tell a story that I can share with my colleagues after selecting the appropriate template. I'll begin by expanding the pin flyout, and then I can easily drag and drop the insights that I've accumulated along my data analysis journey to create my visualization. So to quickly summarize what you've seen, we started with some historical enterprise data which we were able to explore to learn how education, monthly income, and commute relate to employee attrition. We were also able to learn how benefits plays a key role in members leaving as well. Finally, we were able to compile all of these related insights into a single infograph that we could share with our colleagues. Start your own data journey today by heading to watsonanalytics.com.